What's good, y'all? It's your boy D-Lou back at it again with another banger video. I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. It is now December 27th, December 28th, somewhere around there. I hope you guys had a wonderful time with your family, enjoying the holidays with your friends, family, and what you guys are doing for New Year's. Drop it in the comments below. So before we get into the video, I just want to say thank you guys for supporting the channel and supporting the recent videos that I have been uploading. It's been a huge blessing and a huge favor and a huge just opportunity for me to give you guys an insight for what my life looks like. And thank you guys for submitting questions for the Q&A. I'm sure you guys like that, so go check that out as well. So in this video, right as we end off 2024, going into 2025 for the new year, we're going to be talking about dating. Yes. We're going to be talking about dating in 2024 and looking at it in 2025, the upsides, the downsides, and potential prospects, and just what my thoughts are as far as dating, leaving 2024, what we should leave behind, and what we need to grow on and grow and prosper more in 2025. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So, dating. It can be definitely a taboo topic and something that just seems like an ick for some people, you know, from the male side and from the women's side, you know, as well. Some people may say, oh, there's piss in the dating pool, or like, oh, there's feces in the dating pool. Like, the dating pool isn't, you know, like, where's the good quality men? Where's the good quality women? Like, what's going on with the dating pool in 2024, 2025? It seems that oftentimes, like, now that we're going further into 2024 and the 2000s, it seems like dating has just changed from what it used to be back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Back then, people used to say, oh, dating was better back then. Like, you know, you just go door to door, you just meet someone, and you're able to find someone with common interests and common values just as you, and then you're able to hit it off from there. Now, it feels like dating in 2024, going into 2025, that it's literally like pulling teeth or finding needle in a haystack. Some people say that, like, oh, dating is disingenuous now, or oh, from the men's side, like, men aren't masculine anymore, men aren't providers, men aren't what they used to be anymore, so that's why they turn off women, go away from men. From what men say, women aren't, you know, submissive, women are feminine, you know, they're often taking up masculine spaces, they're often, you know, gold diggers or something along the lines of that. They're often gold diggers, or often after your money, or they're just disingenuous, you know? So it seems like there's a plethora of dating problems and just people, like, problems within dating in 2024. And I wanted to share some of my personal experiences with dating and what that looked like in 2024, but not just 2024 in general, but just my whole life, and to give my little 2 cents on what dating looks like being a Black man in the United States. So let's get into that. So for me, dating really wasn't a thing for me until I would say mid to late college, because I didn't have the traditional experience of dating, because my high school, middle school, it definitely was a private school, so like it wasn't a lot of kids there, and even the kids there, like, we all knew each other, and we just didn't feel comfortable with talking to someone that, you know, our homeboys talked to or our best friends talked to. It just would have felt weird and essentially just breaking the bro code, you know? So that's why I didn't really dip my hand into dating in that. And then come college around 2019 to 2020, that's when the pandemic hit. So I was able to enjoy the first semester pre-pandemic, so I was able to enjoy that first semester, you know, got to see what on-campus life was like, got to see, you know, just enjoy normal college as a freshman for the fall semester. But then came spring semester, that's when COVID hit, and then that's when our world definitely took a 360, 180 turn, you know? So when COVID hit, that's when we were all homebound for about a year or so until we were able to go back and socialize. But, you know, people had times to where, like, you know, that's when dating apps came into play. And I really didn't try dating apps right when they came out, because, you know, I preferred the organic method of, like, oh, you should go out and meet a girl naturally, you know, in an outing or a setting that you usually go to, whether it be a bar, whether it be a club, whether it be a social setting or something like that. I was more along the lines of that before, you know, leaning into going out and, like, looking for a partner on dating apps. But because of the pandemic, that kind of, like, shifted my gears and my motives to be like, you know what, I should give dating apps a try and give them a second chance and see what they do. So I took my experiences there and went on to dating apps. And of course, there were, like, a few matches that I had, but, like, it never led to anything, like, you know, anything that was like fruitful or like anything that like showed promise, you know. It was just small talk conversations from there, you know, just like, hey, how you doing? Or just I would match with the girl and the girl wouldn't like respond back or anything. So it would be me just being like, hey, how are you? And no response back. So obviously I wouldn't engage with it anymore. So that was my first introduction into dating apps and the world of dating. And then when I got back to college, that's when like the little baby steps of dating started, you know, just also doing the dating apps as well, and just trying the organic method of going out and trying to meet people. Had a few dates like here and there, but like it never led to anything. And then come around junior year, senior year, that's when I guess I was fully into the world of dating and like seeing the pros of it and seeing the cons of it, and just what I was able to see. And from my perspective, now that I moved to Houston, living in California, dating is definitely different from what it looks like in California to Houston, because at least in my opinion, I feel that dating in California, like, you know, the pool of women there are some beautiful Black queens and just beautiful women in California too, but there's a lot of like thistles and thorns in the batch, because some women in California, they have the hustle mentality where it's just like, oh, it's all about the money, or it's all about the grind, or like, you know, I want my man to provide this for me, provide A, B, C, D, like, you know, spend the bag on me, take me shopping, fly me out, you know, like luxury trips and all that. And I'm not that type of dude. Like, of course, I'll spoil my girl when, like, you know, I have that type of stuff, and when she earns it, you're not just gonna get it from me off rip, because that's not how it works. I'm not someone to just go randomly spending my money on someone. Like, I'm not a simp nor a trick, never been, and that's not how I work or how I operate. That's why, like, you know, I kind of dabbled in dating a little bit in California, but like I really didn't, because that's kind of like some of the vibes I was able to get, but I still wanted to give it a benefit of a doubt and not write it off, and at least give it a chance instead of just writing off California altogether. So I didn't really, like, you know, at one point I was convinced that, like, you know, I wasn't really gonna find my match, or like, you know, this was God's way of saying like, hey, I need you alone and isolated in this process, and so that, you know, so that I can have A, some one-on-one time with you, and B, mold you into who I want you to be. So when you meet the right one, you'll be who she needs you to be. So I felt like the God definitely had me in the waiting room and the isolating room, just so he can mold me into who I am now, so that I can be the right person for my partner, you know? So fast forward going into 2024, going into July, that's when I was able to move down here and try my hand in dating, and it has been successful. I will say that as well. So that's my hand with dating, and like how it looked like over the years back from high school, middle school, college, and all that. And I just wanted to give some of my takes on dating, because, you know, being as a man, I just wanted to see, like, you know, say my two piece on the dating scene, just what I think about it right now, and just why I noticed that, like, we're not seeing as many, like, you know, couples, or it's just like it's short term and short lived. So reason number one that I think that like dating is definitely different, because technology is a major factor and facet in dating as it is today. Like, you have social media, you have Snapchat, you have Instagram, you have TikTok, you have all these social media platforms that promote, you know, some people living a lavish lifestyle that may seem appeasing for men and women, and often draws comparisons sometimes, so it's just like, oh, like, just because they're doing that, I deserve that too, or I want that, which is true, but like, what did they say? Comparison is the thief of all joy. Like, if you keep comparing yourself to what other people have and not what you have, you're going to be jealous, and then like all the joy is going to be zapped from you. And I noticed that with like a lot of people, they often just like, oh, so-and-so has this, so-and-so has that, I don't have that. So they're often comparing themselves from other people, and it's often striving like jealousy and envy for some people. And like that's often is brought into their relationships, because they're just like, oh, well, so-and-so did this for their partner, so why can't they do it for me, you know? Or like, you know, so-and-so was able to get this for their partner, so why can't I receive the same treatment? So that's like my first thing that I noticed with dating, and like why it kind of seems like, you know, a little bit like just murky and iffy nowadays. And then two is just, I would say, dating apps. So yes, dating apps, as they can be a plus and they can be an add-on to some lives, it can definitely it has its own downsides, I will say that. Just as like, apps such as Tinder or like Hinge or Bumble, like they're all, the concepts of it is good. Like they have good intentions and they mean well, but you guys have to know that like those apps require like the algorithm and like, consumers and people for it to navigate. Like for example, when I was on Hinge or when I was on Bumble or stuff like that, they would like enter be like, oh, like how tall are you? Or like, like how tall are you? Like your height preference, eyes, colors, race, that's the type of stuff. And they would make assessments because of like your height, and they would be like, okay, so because you're this tall, you will have access to these type of women, or if you're this short, you won't have access to these type of women. So for me, for example, I'm 5'9", so I'm an average male when it comes to height. So I would say I'm decent, at least when it comes to like dating, on my Hinge program, like, I would see a good amount of women who look good and then some who didn't look good. So I landed right in the middle. So, but compare that to someone who's like 6'1", 6'2", or 6'3", they're going to get the best type of women on there because, most women, they'll go for like men who are, 6 foot and above, the athletes type, they'll look for like, like athletes, they'll look for rappers or just like people who look like high value men. That's what like they give access for women to, because even with swiping and Hinge and Tinder and all that, swiping is significantly different from what it looks like for men and women. For men, we do a lot of swiping, but it's rare when like, we get a lot of matches in return. Whereas for women, they do a lot of swiping, they can get a lot of matches. Because if you look in a men's like DMs when it comes to Tinder or Hinge compared to a women's DMs or Hinge, it's often more dry than not than what the women's looks like. And connections can be found more with women than it can be for men, So that's my thing that I also noticed about Tinder and like the dating apps in general. And also just new phenomenons becoming a thing, like run clubs. Run clubs are becoming a new fad within the United States and just all around the world, where people are meeting together and running, and then it just so happens that like they form partnerships and relationships with each other. So they're using that as a way for dating, where like it's just new fads and stuff. So as you see the decline of dating apps going in, you see the rise of run clubs and people meeting at run clubs and starting relationships there. So like it's new different trends that are going on within society that can also lead to the rise and fall of dating as of right now going into 2024 and 2025. And then I will also say like like preferences as well. Some men and women do have high types of preferences, to where like some things are like preferences where it kind of gets confused. It's like, oh, like this is a standard that I want from my partner, whereas it's like, oh, I would prefer my partner to do this, and they kind of just mix the lines in between. It's just like kind of getting confused a little bit. So like for example, for say like someone who's just like, oh, like I would prefer my partner to be, let's just say 5'8" or 5'9" or 5'9" or so or above. But a standard could just be like, I just want someone that's like eye to eye level with me, or something along the lines of that. Or I would just say another example could be someone who, okay, so standard, I want someone who has a job, for example. Or the preference for that could be, I want someone who makes 6 figures or above or something like that, or close to it. Or like, I want my partner to make just as much money as I would. But they kind of get it confused where it's just like, oh, I want someone that makes 6 figures, when like that's like the top 4% of men. So not a lot of men can make that type of money or exceed that type of money unless you're the top 4 or 5% of men in the day-to-day dating. And of course, those types of men are going to have exclusive pull to women, and they're going to most likely be less loyal to commit to you because they have so many options, So that's what I noticed about that. And then now, this is my last one. I think this is the most important one, is that it seems like dating has just gotten like less and less genuine over the years. It just seems that like people are just like, oh, it's just the hookup culture, just like I'm just looking for something for like friends with benefits, or just like connection smash and pass and all that, because you see that on the rise with dating apps. like in the little subsections, you see stuff that often has like, friends with benefits, or just like, short-term connections, or just like, casual or something like that. And of course, no one's going to like want to press that option because no one's going to take them seriously, So they go pressing other options such as long-term looking for short, or short-term looking maybe preferable for long-term. So they match with them, and then literally some of the opening lines are, "Oh, what you doing?" or just like friends with benefits. And of course, it's going to turn some women off, You don't open with that, like that makes it less genuine, and then like it's just like, "Oh, where are the good men at?" And this is often like some things that I notice within just dating apps just in general. And like, I just noticed that like, that's like, it's kind of thrown off where it's just being like, where's the good men at? And then like, don't trust dating apps, or don't trust like, like delete dating apps because my experience was A, B, C, D. Whereas your experience could be something else. Like for me, like sure, my dating app experience was rocky at first, but moving down here is pretty decent. It went well, So I would just say like, like people are less genuine now, and then like they don't want to be straight up and upfront with what they want, or if they do, they're like, it's some type of master plan or like elaborate plan or something. And I do want to give shout outs for like Pop the Balloon, because Arlette, she is trying to like, at least in my opinion, I feel like she's trying to like make genuine connections with people, just to be like, hey, have a dating show, like be genuine in your application, and let's not waste people's time to like find genuine matches, so that we all could like, not we all, but like you, like the people that come on my show, you guys can match, get to know each other, talk to each other, and then once you get your matches, you can go off on stage and then go out on a date. But in my previous video, where I previously talked in my Q&A video, someone asked me on my thoughts on Pop the Balloon. The genuine concept of it, I agree with it. Now the execution of it afterwards, like that's where it kind of gets a little bit fuzzy. But the only reason because of that is because sometimes some people, like the intention is once you match, afterwards you're supposed to go on a date. But I think in one of the recent like catch-up interviews with Arlette, one couple was just like, Arlette was just like, "Oh, so now since you guys matched after the show, did you guys go on a date?" And I think the dude was just like, "No, we didn't. I just went back to my room." And Arlette was just like, the point is once you match on the show, immediately after, like go out on a date and like get to know each other and see if there's a spark of connection there. But it just seems like, like people just like postpone it. And I get like, people have like plans and stuff like that prior to it. So like it kind of can get like, confused in the mix up and all that. But it just seems like, people often come on, at least now, people come on to like promote brands, or like, if it's rappers, promote their like music or something like that, or their career. It seems like less genuine than what it's supposed to be. And then the mix up, like, I see Christian men and Christian women coming on. Like, I understand why they're coming on, because, they want to find their chance of love, because and no one should be blocked from finding their chance in love. No one, because we all deserve love in this world. But it just seems like, sometimes like the meshes where it's just like, it's unequally yoked sometimes, unless like you find the right woman. I'm not saying that it's impossible. It's just kind of hard when it comes to like doing that and like, Pop the Balloon. But I get the intention, I really do. And I really thank Arlette for like hosting this opportunity and like, hosting Pop the Balloon, because she did that, it's a bunch of like spin-off Pop the Balloons that are going around to like try to get people to find, genuine connections and like romantic connections and relationships, So I really do appreciate that. But it kind of just seems like, at least in my opinion, some of the people who come on there, they're just kind of looking for a one-night hit and then just leave. And I think that's like what's killing, dating as well in the modern world of 2024. So my final thoughts going into 2024 and 2025, I would say, is let's try to be more genuine in like our conversations and connections when like talking to people. Fellas, and coming into 2025, let's come correct. Let's get in the gym. Let's read more self-help books. Let's start practicing on our confidence, because women can pick up on that. And you don't want to do it just for women. You want to do it for you. Because if you're just like if you're trying to fake confidence, women can pick up on that, and that's a turnoff, because they know you're not truly confident in yourself, and you're not comfortable in yourself. So let's get up on our confidence. Let's get up and let's practice let's read our self-help books. Let's get in the gym and let's lock in and let's be loaded and let's present the best version of ourselves. Make sure you get a cut at least once or twice a week or so, however much you need it. Get the fresh braids, get the twists, get the fashion sense up. Let's do that. Like, show your appeal and show your worth as a man. And it should, like, the representation that you think and you see of yourself, that's what you're going to exude in the world, so that when women see it, they'll want to talk to you, So that's wrapping up my final thoughts on dating, what it looks like in 2024, 2025. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down below. Don't forget to make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And as we always say, make sure you share this video with someone so that we can always grow together and be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. It's your boy D-Lou, signing out.